On show 458, e-Niro on sale in the US, e-208 on sale in the UK, and the BMW i4 seen inside. Well, those stories and many more coming up on the show today. Morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily, Monday 29th of April edition. My name is Martyn Lee. I go through every EV story that I can find and pick out the ones that I think you need to know about. It's all about saving your time because I know you are busy. The one thing you don't have is spare time. So hopefully this podcast in 20 minutes, everything EV related you need to know. Thank you as always to myev.com for helping make this show. They have built the world's first marketplace, and the thing that's different about it, unique about it, only EVs for sale on myev.com. You won't find a diesel Volkswagen Golf, but that's exactly what I'll be selling very soon. Let me fill you in on a personal story. Feel free to hit, fast forward for 60 seconds if this anecdote doesn't interest you, but hopefully it will. And just in case you listen to this podcast, I talk about driving EVs, and in case you think I'm whiter than white, we have had a diesel sitting in the driveway for the last 6 months, and we haven't used it. So we had a Golf BlueMotion. It's got all the stop-start thing. We bought it because we thought it was a green, clean car years ago. And it served us very well until we realised our mistake. Then we parked it up, and this is my fault. Much to my regret, we never sold it. It kind of sat there. There's no road tax to pay on it because it kind of comes under CO2, low emission thing. So it's no road tax, insure it, it's no money. I don't know why we never got rid of it. I don't know why we never sold it. We never drive the thing. Anyway, I mentioned about 6 months ago, the gearbox light came on. So we parked it up and we never used it. I thought I'd better run it the other day. So I ran the car and the gearbox is kaput. It would go forward 2 or 3 meters and then jump out of gear. It's gone. It's a thing called the mechatronics on a DSG gearbox. There you go. There's things I wish I didn't have to know about. I know about them because it's broken. So I went to the garage to be fixed. Because without the gear, it's effectively a scrap car. And it's, a car worth many thousands of pounds. We just never got round to selling it. Don't judge me. Anyway, I can't sell it if it's not running. And I'm not going to scrap the car. Firstly, because it's worth a lot of money. And also because that would be worse for the environment, because you'd have to build another car to replace what that is, even though I'd much prefer people drive an EV and didn't buy this car. But somebody at some point, this is the dilemma, somebody should run it till it stops working rather than scrap a car that has many years, because it's good. It's good to be run. It's a real dilemma. Anyway, so tomorrow morning, I'll be driving to a garage. First thing, before I drive up to London tomorrow, my wife will run me down there, and a gentleman will relieve me of £840 for a mechatronics inside an automatic 7-speed gearbox. And then the very next thing I do, after I drive to London to do what I have to do tomorrow, I will be selling it. I feel like I shouldn't be selling a diesel to somebody. It's why I've been so conflicted. I've done nothing about this car, and it's come back to haunt me. Should we move on to the news? Let's talk about Kia's e-Niro, or Niro EV, whichever way it's sold in your country. The highly anticipated Niro EV has now got on sale in the USA. It took longer than expected, but the long-range electric crossover from Kia is now officially on sale in the US. Some deliveries have already commenced, actually. The electric Niro is similar to the cousin car, the Hyundai Kona Electric, though the Niro has much more rear seat legroom, something sorely lacking in the Kona, according to some people, says Eric Loveday at InsideEVs.com. I know some Kona owners, well, one particular actually, who is delighted with his electric Kona. I suppose if you're driving it, you're not sitting in the back, though. One of the comments on the new look InsideEVs.com forum said this: I'm looking forward to sitting in one. This weekend, for the first time, says this commenter, we sat in a number of EVs, trying to determine which one suits us. First, we went to a Tesla Model 3. It was way smaller than I expected. I'm 6'2", and my son is taller than I am. We barely had headroom in the rear seats. Next, we went to Hyundai, sat in the Kona and the Ioniq, which both weren't even close to having the headroom we needed. Lastly, we went and sat in a Chevy Bolt, more rear headroom than the Hyundais, but much less than the Model 3. So it's funny how we thought the Model 3 was cramped by the end of the day. The other cars made it seem cavernous. I'll put a little link to Inside EVs in the show notes there. Somebody who is looking forward to driving, at least sitting in the Kia e-Niro, to compare it to the cars that they were looking at. You are lucky that you can go to dealers and sit in those cars. Many dealers don't either carry electric stock, or if they do, at least sell electric cars. They don't have inventory and have them as test drive cars. It's a common problem. You're really buying EVs on trust at the moment. Let's move on to Peugeot, or Peugeot, as some people may want to say it. The Peugeot 208 is an important car for them. Small city car here in Europe. The e-208 is going to be a very important car. Therefore, you could argue their first proper electric car. Yes, Peugeot have done things with electrification before, but really this is their first big attempt at moving into electric cars. The electric city car offers a lively and stimulating drive, they say on their website, thanks to its electric engine. Choose electric without compromise and be ready to drive into the future from early 2020. This took me by surprise today. It's gone online on the UK, not so much configurator on the Peugeot website here in the UK, but certainly the reserve button is open. It'll take £500 off you to reserve this car. And I thought what we would do on the podcast today is look at the language that Peugeot have gone with to sell their very first EV. And I thought this would be interesting because we talk a lot about those early adopters and Tesla, and you know what we talk about on this show if you're a long-time listener. But what about a manufacturer here in Europe? And Peugeot are going back to the US market, by the way, mid next decade. But it'll be sold here in Europe. What kind of language do they use? How do they sell their cars? And we talk about other manufacturers like Toyota, Lexus, who don't really want to sell you a plug-in car. They big up hybrids all the time. So what does a manufacturer like Peugeot do on their website? What words have they chosen? Let's have a look. They say 100% electric driving delivers new sensations, a smooth drive without vibration. Sharp acceleration thanks to immediate engine torque. A silent engine, and they've had to put a little asterisk there because it's not an engine, a silent engine offers a serene driving experience, 0 grams of CO2 emissions. And that's how they are selling their electric car. And it's only logical to, well, how about you flip those statements around? A smooth drive without vibration. Does that mean their other cars are a bumpy ride with vibration? They say sharp acceleration with immediate engine torque. Or does that mean their other cars have slow acceleration thanks to laggy engine torque? They say a silent engine with a serene driving experience. Does that mean their other cars have a noisy engine and a pretty uncomfortable driving experience? You got to wonder, they've sold this car really well. Okay, let's move on. Save money thanks to energy cost being lower than fossil fuels. They've used that phrase on their homepage of their website, fossil fuels. Save money thanks to energy cost being lower than fossil fuels. The low cost of use with reduced maintenance. They're only selling one electric car. The rest of their website is packed full of fossil cars. And in big headlines, they've put lower cost thanks to reduced maintenance. They say the new eCMP, electric modular platform, was designed to incorporate a high voltage battery with a large capacity of 50 kilowatt hours while preserving space on board and boot volume. The electric car battery is guaranteed for 8 years or 100,000 miles for 70% of its charge. You can obtain 80% of the vehicle charge in 30 minutes from a 100 kilowatt charging station. But it doesn't actually say what speed the battery charges at. Hyundai and Kia do this as well. It's a naughty phrase. It's not, well, I find it naughty. It's probably not. They use this phrase when connected to a 100 kilowatt charging station. Then I meet people and they go, oh yeah, the Kona and the e-Niro, they charge at 100 kilowatts. They don't. It'll be mid-70s at best because of the pack voltage and the juice that runs in on CCS1. It's limited from the current you can get into the car. So the theoretical maximum of the mid-70s. But Peugeot using that phrase as well. When connected to a 100 kilowatt charger. What speed does it really charge at? We don't know. I'll look into it. I'll try and find out. Super interesting. Whereas some other manufacturers are selling EVs apologetically almost, like they have them on their website, they bury them away, they don't big them up. Peugeot have put this front and centre and use language that, well, if you or I wrote this, that's exactly what we would put. It's all the great things about driving an EV, and they put them in black and white. But unfortunately, you then have to compare them to every other car they sell. I think it's, look, basically what I'm doing a very bad job of saying quickly, well done, Peugeot. You haven't copped out of this. You haven't put a car on sale and just tried to not really sell it until 2020 and not tried to make your other cars look bad by not talking about the benefits of electric car. They've just gone all out and gone, look, this is brilliant. And well done to the team at Peugeot. Let's move on. BMW's i4 is coming. You know, I love BMW's i3. It was quirky. It's an old design now, but it still looks like it's from the future. We've seen the BMW i4 testing a couple of times before. Spy shooters have now captured the interior of BMW's upcoming sedan, the i4, and it looks just like not the i3, a normal BMW. Judging by the conventional looks, a regular BMW doesn't shock us, says Autoblog today. The BMW i4 is a big step into the normal direction. After BMW's i division were allowed to let loose really with creativity in the i3, the i8 as well. Obviously a lot of the interior is covered up in spy shots, but what you can see, infotainment, climate, the gear shifter, it's enough to know it's looking conventional, very conventional. It's neither good nor bad, by the way, in case you were thinking I was inferring one way or the other. In many ways it's good for a typical BMW 3 Series buyer who would then have a look at one of these new fangled electric cars and it will feel very, very familiar. There is nothing in there to scare them. Whereas the i3, some would say it's an acquired taste. I think it's a beautiful inside and out, but some people don't get the looks, and I understand that. The i4 from BMW looks like it's just going to be another very well designed, well put together BMW. Happens to be electric. How do you charge your cars? Well, here in Europe, the fast charging network Ioniq has announced today it has secured European funding from the European Union for a pan-European EV infrastructure. It covers 13 countries, from Poland to Portugal, Sweden to Italy, says InsideEVs.com today. According to the press release, 340 ultra-fast chargers at 350 kilowatt speeds. 340 of them are going to be installed in 13 EU member states by Ioniq. It's going to cost about $200 million, with about $44 million of that coming from the EU. The largest ever EU co-funded infrastructure project of $44 million. Fantastic. Well done to the lawmakers of the EU there for putting infrastructure in, doing what the car makers, apart from Tesla, don't really want to do. So the European Union getting on with it. How many of those we get in the UK? Probably none. At the moment, we are still part. If you've heard of this thing called Brexit, you're listening around the world. If you're listening in the UK, you're like, oh, don't say the B word. We're all sick of it. It was meant to have happened by now. It hasn't happened. We have a political system that I won't get into it. Let's say it's tied up in knots, and many people think that it won't happen. Brexit won't happen for many, many years, whilst the politicians go round in circles of how on earth do we even begin to set the rules for it. Who knows? But I doubt any of that funding will be coming to the UK. Moving on to Daimler. They've pulled the plug on the smart cars in the US and Canada. Daimler is ending sales of its little all-electric Smart 4.2 cars in the US and Canada, officially now pulling the plug following lots of rumours on the vehicle that's really struggled to gain ground in North America as the German automaker prepares to bring the brand to China, TechCrunch has learned. According to TechCrunch today, Smart won't be sold in the US and Canada after the 2019 model year. Daimler AG confirmed after two sources familiar with the decision shared the information with TechCrunch. Well, Daimler isn't killing the Smart car altogether, though. They announced in March they're forming a joint venture with Zhejiang, I think that is, Geely Holding Group, to transform it into a Chinese brand. Under the agreement, little cars are going to be made in China and on sale from 2022. Well done, Los Angeles. Big news that Los Angeles announced their own Green New Deal to drastically slash emissions, says Fast Company. Well, the city of LA is also building the infrastructure to help people who want to keep making that switch to EVs. 25,000 new charging stations by the year 2025. School buses and taxis are going to go completely emission-free by 2028. Urban delivery vehicles 2035. By 2050, every single vehicle will have to be zero emissions. And I'll put a link to Fast Company in the show notes if you want to read more. Well, Tesla's latest patent application shows the future could be looking bright or dim, depending on your preference, says CNET today. This patent application, outlines new technology for a sunroof. The sunroof is sandwiched on Tesla cars with a variety of layers that give an otherwise normal piece of glass interesting advantages. The first is a layer of electrically controllable dimming material if the sun is bright outside, and then embedded within the sunroof is another layer capable of generating light with LEDs. That way the sunroof can provide illumination in the cabin when the exterior source isn't present, like it's nighttime, the inside will light up, and then during the day it'll keep the car dark and cool. And finally on Tesla, oh by the way, that is just a patent application. Doesn't mean it's coming to cars. Many tech companies file these things all the time and things never make their way into production. It is just some IP. Well, just over a month after completely revamping their referral program, Tesla's boosting its referrals by 500% for a limited time ahead of the end of the quarter, says Fred at Electric. Last month, the automaker relaunched their referral program with a completely different structure based on giving free supercharging miles and chances to win a Model Y and the new Roadster. Tesla started giving out 1,000 miles of free supercharging to the owner giving the referral and the new buyer receiving the referral. Well, today Tesla updated the program to give it a 500% boost. They said this. Tesla said on the app, if you open your app and look inside, what's it called, the little goodie box thing? You and anyone using your referral code to buy a Tesla will receive 7,500 free supercharging kilometres on May the 28th. This will revert back to 1,500 kilometres. Each referral now gives you 5 chances to win a Founders Series Model Y or a Roadster supercar. Tesla owners who already have free supercharging get 10 chances to win. And I'll pop a link to Electric in the show notes. Well, thank you for listening today, and I'd love to invite you to answer this week's question of the week. It's your bit of the show. We do it every Sunday. I read out your answers to our question of the week, and here we go. Thanks to myev.com for setting this. Is there a future for independent servicing in a world of EVs? Are they so mind-bogglingly confusing? Are you going to have to take it back to the people that made it, or is there still going to be a market out there? Would you feel comfortable taking it back to be independently serviced in the world of EVs? My horrid little diesel Golf has gone to a chap that looks like he's been fixing automatic gearboxes for about 200 years. And that's his business, right? And I'm sure he does a great job. I wish I didn't own the damn thing. It's like a chain round my neck. But that's his business. In a world of EVs, what's he going to be doing to earn money? Is there a future for independent servicing in a world of EVs? Well, thank you very much to 217 patrons of this podcast. You keep me going. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much to people like Phil Roberts from Electric Future, our premium partner of the show, and Brad Crosby as well. Thank you, Brad. If you want to find out what it's all about, Patreon is a place where you can support creators, either musicians, artists, podcasters. patreon.com/EV News Daily. There are 457 previous shows online for free. The blog has all the details. If you are listening to a podcast, I reckon you know how to get podcast. You know, you listen to a podcast and people always tell you how to get the podcast. If you're already listening, I think you are savvy enough to know how to get it. But evnewsdaily.com, my cheeky little blog, my little WordPress blog, has all the details on every platform that I'm on if you would like to experience this somewhere else. Check it out. In the meantime, come and say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.